What is going on? Thank you for stopping back on the channel. As always, it is appreciated. Really quickly, as you can tell by the title, today is some more fiberglass work, but before we get into that, there are a couple things I want to touch on really quickly. So topic number one, I got a tripod finally, which means hopefully smoother and cleaner videos. I'll be able to do a lot more. I did the build breakdown video a while back. It was too windy, I had to scrap it, but now that I got the tripod, hopefully I'll be able to do that a lot cleaner. You know, wrapping stuff, hopefully those videos will come out, you know, better, just a lot smoother and better content for you guys, so I'm pretty stoked on that. Also, I did go ahead and get some more sanding pads because the ones that I have, I was already out of the 60 grit. The fiberglass was tearing it up, so I got these, don't have to worry about that. Also, as you can see behind me, I did take off the hood from the 280ZX. There were some spots that I don't want to neglect when it comes to laying the fiberglass on the foam. I really want to make sure that I lay it properly. So the hood, you know, it had to come off. I tried filming it. This is actually my third or fourth attempt to, you know, get this filmed, but been working a lot lately. The weather has not been cooperating. It's been windy almost every day that I try filming, and you know, showing houses and stuff, I have to work around time, things like that. Family, you guys know how it goes. But you know, those quick little topics, I'm gonna do my best to keep filming. Again, I am really busy with work and things, but gonna continue to try and film everything that I do. My main thing is to make sure that I'm still doing work to the cars because I want to get them done in time for Desert Fest and Low Class and things like that next year, including the 280. She's been sitting here for too long. I want to get her done. So that is my main focus. You guys may notice a change of clothes in the videos every once in a while, or change of days completely, because, you know, again, I'm gonna be working, gonna have to find the time, the weather, daylight, all that stuff. Well, as of right now, I am wasting daylight, so just wanted to touch on those quick topics, and we will go ahead and get into it. We'll start working on the fiberglass now and go from there. Alright guys, so update on the fiberglass here. It was a lot thicker in some spots, not like a good thick, but bad, to where the fiberglass was sticking up in some spots. I did go ahead and clean it up. Again, this is my third or fourth attempt cleaning, but the pads were getting destroyed. As you can see, I was running out of these, and that was on like the third attempt. Second attempt is too windy. First attempt, I didn't have a battery, but you know, I did go ahead and do a little bit of work to this. There are some spots, as you can see, this is really soft, so I'm going to have to take that piece out completely and relay that. Clean up some of these spots here, but for the most part, this side was covered pretty well. After going back and checking both, you know, methods, the one that me and, you know, Zay both did, Zay's laid the fiberglass on there easier, but as far as the cleanup part of it goes, this is a little easier for me to clean up, because if you look with this, there's a lot of leftover fiberglass that wasn't messed or, you know, touched with the resin. So not necessarily the method worked bad, but you know, we just didn't have enough paintbrushes and stuff like that to go ahead and make sure that every piece of this was touched, because parts like this are going to be a pain when it comes to taking it off. And again, I did clean these up a little bit, so this was you know, pretty messy. There's a bird's nest all over the place, and same thing with that one. But just want to give you a little update on where it's looking now. So I'm going to go ahead and get you guys set up. I'm going to take the sander, and we are going to go ahead and start sanding this stuff down again, and lay another fiberglass mat on this, you know, start layering it on and get all this taken care of, so you know, we can lay Bondo and get it all looking good. So quick little update for you guys. I'm sure you just saw I was using the box cutter, and I'm gonna go ahead and explain why. So if you look how there are now pieces like this where there's like a gap, this is where that bubble was that I showed you earlier. Because there was the bubble, taking the sander to it is just too much of a pain. So that's where you can use the box cutter to go ahead and cut in there. Just be careful, because you got to remember, you know, behind the fiberglass is foam, and you know, that stuff's easy to cut into, so you don't want to take out a big old chunk of the of the foam while you're messing with the fiberglass. So you got to be careful with that. Now the reason there was the bubbles, obviously, is when we were laying it down, the fiberglass did not lay flat up against this. Even though the fiberglass is really sticky, it's, you know, because you're not laying it down, you know, flat like you would be up against the ground, it's sometimes does want to go ahead and lean forward. So when you're laying this, make sure and do your best to try and lay it flat up against whatever surface, that way you don't have this. It's a pretty easy fix. I mean, we're just going to go ahead and add fiberglass in this spot here and then sand it down to blend it in. It's just a pain when it comes to cleanup. It's just making yourself do more work. I had to do the same over on that side. But I'm going to go ahead and keep sanding this down, try and even off all these pieces that are now, you know, now don't have the bubble, and then we can go ahead and start, you know, applying more fiberglass from there. Okay guys, so for now I am done with the sanding. As you can tell, it's not all even by any means, but with spots like this missing, it's going to be almost impossible, if not completely impossible, to make all this even. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and start laying fiberglass down again, let it dry, and then after all these spots are filled that it needs to, then we can go ahead and focus about making sure it's all even. Now I'm not going to mess with that side too much right now, as again, it's late, I am running out of time. You know, I only have so much daylight to work with this stuff. So I am going to lay the fiberglass down, let this dry, make sure I can get all this stuff sanded, because again, it's my first time doing it. I know some people have made it work, but no, this isn't, you know, set in stone that this is going to work out for me. Worst case scenario, I mean, I take it all off, I put the original pieces, you know, but that's not what I want to do. I really want to make this work, and I'm sure I can get it. It's just, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a hassle. So I really want to focus on this side before I start messing with the other side, or, you know, even start messing with my 350 or anything else. But I'm going to go ahead and start laying the fiberglass down now. Also guys, last time I know I didn't show you guys the actual, you know, method. I put, you know, the text on the top, but I didn't walk you guys through the process, so I'm going to make sure that I do it this time, because I want you guys to know how to work with fiberglass if you're deciding to work with it at all. So let's go ahead and let me show you what you got. So your first item is the resin, then you have the hardener, and again, make sure you have gloves for all this stuff guys, because, you know, with the foam it just sticks on. It's a bit of a pain. This stuff, same thing, but it also gets in your skin, you know, it's a big deal. Only reason I don't have gloves on right now is because I'm not actually messing with it. Anyways, so what you're going to want to do first is you're going to pour the resin in the cap that comes with the fiberglass or any other type of plastic container. Then after the resin is in there, you're going to add hardener to the resin, take a piece of cardboard, mix it in, and then you would take the fiberglass mat, you dip it in there, make sure the fiberglass mat is covered as much as you can, and then you go ahead and lay it on the spot that you want. So there's just a rough little rundown. Of course, I'm going to film it now so you guys can actually see it. Again, I apologize for last time, but I'm going to walk you guys through it more in depth on this one. Alright guys, so once again, first step, take the resin, pour it in the container. Now the amount of resin all depends on how much, you know, how big the spot is that you're going to be wanting to apply. Next, you have the hardener, and same thing, the amount of hardener all depends on the amount of resin that you have in here. You want enough that you make sure the resin is actually going to harden, but you don't want too much to where it hardens too quickly, because once this stuff starts clumping together, when you're trying to lay the fiberglass mat in there, it's a huge pain, and you really don't want to deal with that. Then you go in, take out the fiberglass you're going to need, and then from there dip it in. I might have put a little too much on this one, honestly, but after you get it in there, try and unravel it from the glob that you just made as much as possible so you can lay it down flat. If not, then you're going to have a clump, unless of course you want a clump. But you're going to go ahead and put it down. Now when you do that, lay it and just run your fingers down flat and leave it. Okay guys, so I just showed you how to do the resin and all that, so I'm going to go ahead and show now actually laying the fiberglass on there. So you get the mat, of course you dip it in the resin, make sure that the resin covers the mat as much as possible. Just try and run it through, get it all filled up. And don't take too big of a piece, you know, you really want to try and lay either the exact size of fiberglass, if not a little less, and you can fill in the spots later. If you have too much, you're going to have a mess to deal with. Now after you lay it down, see what I'm doing with my hands here is what you're wanting to do. Use your hands to lay it flat and pull it away from the center. So just work your way on the outsides and pull it away. Now, if it's not perfect, a piece comes up, be very careful, because after a while, what happens is this gets really sticky, your gloves get sticky, and the fiberglass no longer wants to stick to the surface you're trying to get it to stick to. Instead, it's trying to stick to your hands. So when you're lifting it up, it starts pulling away from where you want it, and it becomes a huge mess. I may actually put a video in here showing exactly what that is, because I just did it before this. I can. Then you're going to go ahead and lay it down. Now, as I was stating before, what you're going to want to do is once you lay it, run your fingers to pull the fiberglass down to make it as flat as possible. Now, you want to do this as quick as you can, because what happens is what's happening right now with my gloves is the fiberglass, you know, your gloves get sticky, fiberglass gets more sticky. Okay, so that's not going to work actually at all. So, no, it's definitely not something you guys want to do. So lay it flat, work your way on the outsides, you know, laying it as flat as possible as you can. So we'll go from there. Also, if you have someone here to help you with this, it's the best thing you can do, or pull pieces aside ahead of time and go ahead and lay it down so you don't have to worry about it, because again, your hands are sticky and full of fiberglass, so when you go to grab more from the mat of the fiberglass, it's a pain. You have all kinds of pieces sticking all over the place, so you know, try and do that in advance if possible. Alright, so we are at a stopping point for the night. I did go ahead and lay the fiberglass on there, as you guys can see. My main concern this time wasn't necessarily coverage, but more making sure that everything that I did put was on there flat. That way I didn't have any more bubbles to deal with. As I'm going, it's still kind of up in the air on which method was better. This didn't have as much bubbles so far from what I can tell, but it did have a lot of, you know, again, pieces that weren't hit with the fiberglass that kind of stuck out. So still kind of up in the air. I'd say if you have the opportunity to do it this way, if you have someone else to help you, just make sure that you touch all the spots. Whereas this, you know, you're adding patchwork. If, you know, when you very first start this, lay big pieces, fill up as much as you can, and make sure that it's all flat. So that is going to do it for tonight. Sorry about that. I am going to go ahead and try and film as much as I can. Probably trying to work on it some more tomorrow, as long as the fiberglass and everything is dried. So I'm going to continue to try and film what I'm doing. If not, if the weather isn't the greatest for it, I just might work on it anyways, because again, I do really want to get this done before the shows next year. I still have to do the fiberglass here, if all this works, do foam and stuff to another part, and then get started on the 350Z as well. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow filming some more, but again, all kind of up in the air. But as always, appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Yeah. Hey, if you want it, you can have it, that my old style. Moving through the night just like an old car. Yodi.